And good evening and welcome to In the Public Interest. This program is called the Trenton 350 and I am your host, Jacque Howard. You are listening to us live over WIMG 1300 on the AM dial, and we can be heard over the internet at WIMG1300.com. And if you're watching us on television, it's on WZBN Channel 25, Mercer County, New Jersey. Today I have two very good friends who are from Artworks, Trenton, Lauren Otis and James Peeples. Welcome to the Trenton 350 show.
Well, thanks for having us, Jacque.
Thanks, Jacque. Much appreciated.
Excellent. So, James, let's start with you first.
Okay.
Just talk to me a little bit about how you came to Trenton, and then we'll get into the details about Artworks.
Well, I'm a local boy. I'm from Ewing Township, as you are, Jacque.
Big up to the Blue Devils.
Born and raised in Ewing Township, and I moved to the city back in 2000. I bought a house over in North Ward, and have lived there ever since, and that is pretty much the story of me coming to Trenton. I mean, I've lived in several other places, but my move to Trenton happened in 2000 when I bought my house.
And you live in the North Ward, you said, so that's
Yes.
close to the Lawrence Township line?
In fact, my house is about a block and a half from the Lawrence Township line. In fact, if you stood up on my back porch and looked really, really hard onto the next street, you'd actually see the sign that says, "Welcome to Lawrence Township." so it is literally one of the last houses in the North Ward, but it is within the city.
Excellent. Marge Caldwell-Wilson, that's her ward as well, right?
That is Marge's ward. That is correct.
Good.
Yeah.
Big up to Marge also.
Yeah.
Lauren, and how about yourself?
Well, I'm not a local boy, but I am a city boy, and I grew up in New York City and came to Trenton, moved to Mill Hill in the 1980s, 1989 to be exact. Work brought me here, and I've been here ever since. Raised a family here, and I love cities and I love Trenton. It's a beautiful place, and I now live in on the Island neighborhood.
Good. So, and we won't get into any details about the flooding or anything, but you're still
yeah,
here.
we've dodged some bullets recently, but yeah.
Okay,
you know.
good. And Lauren, what do you do for work?
Well, I had a career change. I used to be a journalist, and then I changed careers, and now I work at a winery. I work at Unionville Vineyards up near Lambertville in Ringgoes, New Jersey.
Okay, you got a telephone number and a website for Unionville?
Sure. It's 908-788-0400, and the website is unionvillevineyards.com.
Excellent. And James, what about you and your current working status?
Well, I do several things. My brother and I own a family electrical business in town. That's A-Phase, or it used to be A-Phase Electric. It's now called Allied Federal Electric Corporation. But I also have my own company, and it's People's Choice Consulting. I do network consulting for small to mid-sized businesses, and it's spelled like my last name, PEEPLESCHOICE, consulting.com.
All right, and
Easy
how about a
find.
telephone number as well?
609-209-1002. And you can find me for Allied Federal at that same phone number if you need me. So.
And folks, also, James is a wonderful photographer as well. If you see him on television and you see him around, more than likely he's got a camera, and he is taking some very candid shots. So keep that in mind as well.
Thanks,
so
Jacque.
today I bring you
Appreciate
into the program to talk about artworks.
That is true.
So either one of you take the mic and talk a little bit about the history of artworks, your position with the company.
Lauren, because he's...
Sure. Well, actually, curiously enough, Artworks has been around almost 50 years,
Yes.
but only in Trenton for about 25. Moved to the city a year before I moved here in 1988, and to its present building on Everett Alley off of Stockton Street. It's basically, we've been going ever since in the city. We have a beautiful space thanks to the city of Trenton. It's a very soaring old industrial space, and we put on exhibits there. We have a lot of education programming, youth and adult classes and other programming. We have artist studios there. And then in recent years, we've been branching out in many different ways. And one of our most visible events is an all-day, all-night event called Art All Night that brings a huge number of people into the city and gets people all going in the city as well. And so that's what we're known for at this point, but we still have some lovely shows and some other programmings. If it's art in Trenton, we probably have a hand in it. We've been a part of the Mural Arts Project. We've been a part of a whole bunch of other events and things reaching out. So yeah.
And you mentioned, Lauren, about the history of artwork. So I believe it started in like 1964 approximately?
64, exactly.
And it began as an organization in Princeton, correct?
Right. It's called the Princeton Art Association at that point, and it was a fairly standard community arts organization doing evening classes, studio classes, and the like. And we've sort of taken that, but we've and run with it. And really, our mission really is to make the arts, visual arts, but all arts and creativity accessible to the community. And Trenton has incredible creativity, and so we just like to bring art to the communities and have the communities come into Artworks for shows and other events.
Yeah, and that's a key word, and it's also critical. Community.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's all about? Your community, like I like to tell folks, is that your community is not just where you live or where you work or where you play. We live in a global society now, so anywhere you have connection with anyone, that is your community.
Yeah.
So if you've got a friend in Bangladesh, or you've got some family in South Africa, or you're spending time in Brazil once a year, that's your community. And everyone that you touch, that is part of your community.
Part of your
James,
network.
Talk to me a little bit about your position with Artworks.
Well, I can talk to you about both my position with Artworks and with my position with Art All Night.
Okay.
With Artworks, I am the vice president of the board of trustees, or VP of Artworks, and so in that role I support the president, which Lauren actually served in that role for a couple of years.
Last year.
Well, last year. And so currently I support our current president, Greg Usberti. And one of the missions that they did with the vice president role for Artworks this year was to actually create kind of a community outreach role for that person. Typically, the vice president of a board will kind of play just a secondary role and make sure that there's backup for the president. But in this year, they kind of tasked me with doing a little bit of outreach and looking out into the community and seeing how we could connect, doing things like this, speaking to the community and going out and looking for organizations where there's a synergistic relationship that Artworks could tap into, where we could benefit the community, and the community could also benefit from the fact that there is a visual arts center within the city that has the classes and that has the gallery space, and it has the resource to tie them into things that are creative throughout the community. So in that regard, that's what I do directly for Artworks, for Art All Night. For the last 4 years, I have served in the role of being in charge of security and public safety for Art All Night, and I will continue in that role this year. And we're looking forward to a fantastic event. Last year, we had one of the most amazing events we could have. We had about 13,000 people. We're looking for 15 to 18 this year. A trouble-free event, a 24-hour family-friendly trouble-free event in the city of Trenton.
Thanks in large part to James.
We've had no security problems and no issues, and it has been a fantastic thing to see the community come together. Again, last year we had close to 500 volunteers, and a lot of them worked tirelessly to help us put that event on, and their role is helping to maintain that level of security. And so it's been a fantastic thing to work with. It's been great to be a part of Artworks for all of these years, and been great to be a part of Art All Night especially. I mean, it is one of the hallmark visual art events that goes on in this area. I can't think of anything else that comes close to, again, a turnout of 13,000 people and into a space that's 25,000 square feet in a 24-hour period.
Yeah, so we're going to get into some more communication about Art All Night in the second half of the program.
Sure.
But James is critical, a critical part of that, along with
absolutely.
There's a team though, but Jacque, there's a team. I mean, there's no way that anyone in any regard could consider themselves in any way more important than anyone else in what we do. We have volunteer coordinators, we have executive directors, we have people who handle our communications and who handle all of our creative work and all the other things that go on, and there's just so much behind what goes on, putting on the revenue amount that it takes to put on that event staggers people's minds when we tell them exactly how much.
Yeah,
if you look at all the partners and the in-kind and everything else.
People give so much of themselves.
If you looked at the volunteer time, I mean, my closest estimate, if I looked at how many hours people put in the year prior to Art All Night and looked at what the revenue was that it took to put Art All Night on, I'm telling you right now that this community gets the benefit of $250,000 worth of effort and money invested in that.
Well, we'll give you a chance to plug Art All Night a little bit later on, but we want to stick to finding out a little bit more about the Artworks as an organization.
Okay, fantastic.
So, Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Artworks and transition into the new executive director that we have at Artworks?
Sure, absolutely. We have, in recent years, Artworks has actually, a lot of organizations will have their kind of evolutions, and Artworks has definitely evolved in many ways. I will absolutely admit, I think we got a bit moribund in years past, and we absolutely had to kind of sit down and rethink what we wanted to do, and that's been an ongoing process. But a couple years ago, we were, the success of Art All Night has been great, and it has given us so many opportunities to partner with people in Trenton and beyond. And so we wanted to basically get ourselves so that we could get that energy and that dynamism going all year around, and we're moving in that direction, and in large part that's because we've rebuilt our board. We have some really great people from different areas, and the focus is on people,
including one of our newest members, Jacque Howard.
Absolutely. We call on people from all over, but we basically have been trying to rethink what a community arts organization is and does in a city like Trenton. And you did talk about community, and it's amazing how interrelated things are. And so we absolutely love just doing what we do well and partnering with artists, but absolutely we love bringing something else to other people in the community. And we've been emphasizing working on everything from portfolio development classes, partnering with Mercer County Community College on things like that, to a whole host of other programs, and we'll talk about some of them. Art All Day, going on the moving beyond Art All Night. But part of that is we hired I guess it was in June, just right before Art All Night last year. We hired a new executive director, Lynn Lemire, and she's been wonderful. She is a working artist, but she's also a great administrator, a great personality who just is full of energy and bringing everyone around, and always going out in the community and talking about us and hearing what people would like to get from us and the like. So I think we've tried to, we're moving in that direction, but we really do want to look at innovative ways to bring arts and creativity out into the communities of Trenton, and then to also bring creative energy from the communities into Artworks. And hopefully we're moving in that direction.
That is why we're here.
Yeah, and I can say, I guess about July or so, I met Lynn, and we chatted, and recently we've had some one-on-ones because of my connection with the board. And she's a wonderful artist, a wonderful spirit, someone who has the right interest in mind, not only for the arts community, but also for the community in general. And and you guys know about this, we're in the process of trying to reach out to some more community agencies.
Right.
So if your program is, I don't want to say stalled, but if your program is in a situation where you're trying to think about, hey, how can I partner with someone? How can I do something a little bit different? Take a couple moments and reach out to Artworks. And there's a couple of different ways to get in touch with Artworks. The telephone number is 609-394-9436. The gallery is open on 3 days. 3 days a week. Tuesday from 11 to 7, Thursday from 2 to 7, and Saturdays from 10 to 4. And we're just about up on a break, so I just want to let you know again that we are coming to you live on WIMG 1300 on the AM dial, worldwide on the web. We can be seen or heard at WIMG1300.com. And if you're watching us, it's over WZBN Channel 25, Mercer County, New Jersey. I'm speaking with James Peeples and Lauren Otis, both members of the Artworks Board, and we're talking about Artworks Trenton. Thank you.
Are your cable rates rising? Tired of being pushed around by your provider? It's time to push back. Cut the cable and get Dish Network installed with absolutely no equipment to buy. Here's the best part. Packages start at just $24.99 a month for an entire year. That's right. Call now and get Dish Network installed free. Plus your choice of HBO, Cinemax, or Stars free for 3 months. If you call in right now, Dish Network will also throw in free HD for life. PMG Dish, a Dish Network authorized retailer, is waiting for your call and can have you watching TV as soon as tomorrow. Call 800-860-0436. Imagine all your favorite movies, sports, and shows in crystal clear digital quality for far less money, and you won't have to deal with the cable company anymore. At only $24.99 per month, they're practically giving it away. Call now for full details. Call 800-860-0436. That's 800-860-0436. Again, 800-860-0436. Limited time offer for prices, packages, and programming subject to change without notice. 24-month agreement required. Cancellation fees, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Welcome back to WIMG 1300. I'm Jacque Howard. I'm the host of the Trenton 350 program, and today our guests are James Peeples and Lauren Otis from Artworks Trenton. Artworks is a 50-plus year history as a nonprofit arts organization. It started in Princeton. It's been in Trenton for just about 35 years, approximately.
25
years. Mm-hmm. I'm a new board member, so those guys are going to get me at the next meeting. But we've been talking just about Artworks and the programming a bit. We went into talking about the board's restructuring and looking out to how Artworks is going to get involved in the community. Not that it wasn't before, but it's going to look at different ways to do some partnering. We're going to be talking about Art All Night, which is an annual event and a big-time event for the organization. We've touched
for the city.
Yes, for the city as well.
Yep.
And we've touched on Len Lemire, who is the current new executive director, who could not be here tonight, and also Greg Usberti, who is the board's president. So let's get right into talking a little bit. Either one of you gentlemen can take off, and let's talk about some of the current exhibits that are there and have been there recently.
Well, we just finished a fundraiser. I believe you mentioned, Jacque, the Hearts and Stars fundraiser. We do partner with community groups, and occasionally we will have an exhibit, and that had a really nice artists from the community were invited to create pieces of art on a panel that was heart-shaped. And then they were auctioned off at the fundraiser. It was a very nice one-night thing, and we do that. But, of course, we have a whole variety of programming as well. And currently, we have a show up of Trenton High School art students' art. That we love doing. It's actually a partnership with another city arts organization, the Trenton Museum Society of the Trenton City Museum. And basically, that show, it's a great thing to be a part of an exhibit, especially if you're a high school student. To see your art on a wall is just wonderful. To be a part of an opening, and kids just love that. And if it provides some inspiration, it's being a part of it, of something larger. That's great. So we love doing student shows, but we also absolutely have curated shows. We have actually, curiously enough, we're doing kind of student shows. We're doing a student show in the main gallery in the spring of work from area colleges and the like. And I think that includes faculty as well as students. Awesome. And then I think we're going to have a works on paper show thereafter. So we're always doing innovative shows. We actually do encourage members of the creative community to bring forward ideas to us for curated shows. We love that. We've had past shows of graffiti art, of tattoo art, of just strange and funky sculpture and other things. So there's a huge amount of creative capital is the word out there, and we love bringing it into and putting everything on the walls. So.
Yeah, Trenton is just like a lot of post-industrial cities. They've got wonderful architecture, wonderful housing stock,
Yep.
below values, and artists tend to navigate to places like that.
Right.
Yes.
And when they navigate and they get settled in, regardless of what's going on locally or globally, that creativity starts to organically grow. And if you don't know, Trenton has a wonderful arts community, and there's a lot happening. We talk about Artworks and all the programs that are there. Then you have the Atelier, and not far from here is Grounds for Sculpture. Your 20-minute ride from an Antiques Haven in Lambertville and in New Hope. So there's a lot that's happening in this region. James, can you talk a little bit about some of the educational programs that Artworks offers?
Well, right now we're working more on developing a better children's curriculum, I believe, if that's correct, is what we're looking to do, is to have better youth education. We'd love to have a more robust adult education, but we're looking at maybe scaling that back and focusing more generally on the children's education, on youth education, simply because the community really does seem to have a need for some ways for children to benefit from the arts. And so I don't know any of the classes specifically that we have on the roster.
Well, we do everything. I mean, they often can be just straightforward drawing classes. And
we do have a summer camp coming up, too.
We do summer camps. We do certainly after-school camps that the emphasis is certainly on creating art and the like. And so a variety of programs. We have had traditional classes, and as James said, we're actually rethinking that too. We absolutely are going to have adult education. It just may be a different model than it has been in the past.
Collaborative things is what we've been looking at, more how we can collaborate with some other organizations around the area that actually do that offer some classes, and see how Artworks can, again, establish a better synergistic relationship with them, so that we can offer the types of classes that people are more interested in, and offer a win-win for both organizations, for whomever we partner with, and for our Artworks patrons as well.
Yeah, so everyone, again, the telephone number for Artworks is 609-394-9436. Gallery hours are Tuesday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Thursday, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and the website is www.artworkstrenton.org. So let's...
Actually, .com.
Both.
Yeah,
both will get you there, but the .com is the newest iteration.
There we go. All right, so that's both of them.
Yes.
All right. So we've also spoke a little bit about partnering with the community. What about like some of the other art agencies that Artworks is partnering with and is looking to partner with in the future?
Well, basically, yes. We're reaching out to the community, and you were talking about how artists are attracted to a city like Trenton. But what I've found in my years here is there's just around every corner are people who've been here, who've grown up here, who are doing incredible things, drawing, producing music, writing, playing music, and the like. And so we are definitely wanting at Artworks to reach out to them. And we're actually, we can talk about Art All Night, which is coming up. It's actually the third weekend in June 16th and 17th. But we've also inaugurated something called Art All Day, too, which is November 10th. It is going to basically be where Art All Night is. Everyone comes and congregates for one big, great creative time in a certain site in Trenton. Art All Day is going to be us kind of putting people out and giving people the opportunity to go out and see what really is going on in Trenton creatively in any realm. And that really encompasses not just visual arts, but music, poetry, cooking, dance, education,
fashion.
You've been heavily involved in the development of Art All Day, I believe.
And absolutely. And it's going to, and as a contact piece for any of our programming, or just to get in touch with Artworks, info@artworkstrenton.org or com is our email, general email. Lynn will definitely respond to you. Volunteers, we love volunteers, and they are so dedicated. And yes, we're always looking for them. And Art All Day will be looking to partner. It'll be volunteer driven, but if you're an artist or someone creative in Trenton, you have a business that you're doing things creatively in your business, get in touch with us. We'll put you on our map. We're going to have a smartphone interactive map. Okay. We're going to have the old analog printed up variety, and then at the end of the day,
we're going green. Go green.
At the end of the day, we're going to have an event where, after being out in the city and seeing all the wonderful things that people are doing in Trenton, then they come back to Artworks headquarters for an exhibit of all the participating artists and studios. We'll have works hung there, and we'll just have a big, enjoyable, fun evening and get people right back to Artworks.
What I'd like to do, though, is see how, Jacque, since the community that we're specifically speaking to right now is more of a faith-based community, I'd love to see if any of, not just creative organizations, but creative people within the religious organizations and the spiritual organizations that are around the city, I'd love to have them contact through that info at Artworks email address, get back in touch and see if I can find a way to create a conversation with them. Because that's really what it's been about for me, is creating conversations with people. And that's really what I've been empowered by the board to do, is to establish a conversation and see if there's a relationship that we can have. So we want to reach out to organizations that we have not traditionally connected with previously. And if that gives us an opportunity to do something for your organization and for us to do something together, that would be something we would love to do. So it's not just about focusing on those people who are currently involved in the arts or currently have a connection to the arts. It's also reaching out to those people who may have an interest in the arts or may have an interest in finding a creative outlet for themselves or for their group, for their church, for their organization. We'll go synagogue, we'll go mosque, we'll go however far we want and need to go to reach the people that need to be reached if we want to get people back into Artworks and get them involved in the things that we're doing, because one of the things that's going to help revive this city and help keep the revival of the city going strong is going to be its creative community and it's going to be its arts community. So we really do need to connect with some people out in the community that have organizations and that have groups. One of the greatest things, you know, we've talked here and there about Art All Night, but one of the things we love to do is to have groups of people become volunteers and volunteer together. So we're reaching out to faith-based organizations. We're reaching out to singles groups. We're reaching out to anyone who happens to have a community organization who hears the call and decides that they want to be involved. And it's not just about Art All Night. Artworks does so many things, and there's such a great need for people to express their volunteer leanings that we could certainly tap into if they have that desire to do so. We have gallery displays. We have a lot of things that are going on around the building as the building's being renovated and other things are going on and things are happening. It would be great to have people come in and volunteer for whatever. So contact Lynn through that info@artworks.com or info@artworkstrenton.org or info@artworkstrenton.com email address and just say, hey, I want to volunteer. My church wants to volunteer. My whatever wants to volunteer, my choir wants to be a part of, or whatever.
We're absolutely hoping to have church participation in Art All Day. The great thing about Art All Night and hopefully Art All Day is that it encompasses so much more than just the visual arts. It's music, it's performance, it is lectures and history, and so it basically brings forward all these